So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for our Partner Spotlight webinar. The purpose of these webinars is to individually introduce a partner to the community at large, so you get to know a little bit more in-depth idea of who they are, who they help, and how they help, right? If you have any questions during today's session, drop it in the chat and we'll get to it near the end. So with that being said, let's get started. Everybody, you should know me. I'm Preston Miller. I'm the channel manager, channel partner manager here at Zog. And we have today with us Rob Sullivan. He is a strategic partner at Schooley Mitchell, where he helps organizations uncover cost-saving opportunities and improve operational efficiency. With experience spanning telecom, transportation, inventory management, manufacturing, supply chain operations, and more, Rob brings a really well-rounded perspective to optimizing business performance and expenses. So welcome, Rob. Welcome. Tell us your story. Where are you from and how'd you get started?
Well, thanks for having me first off. From the Philadelphia area. This been an operations guy for 30 plus years. Background in engineering. My corporate life is Fidelity, General Electric, Comcast. For the last 16 years, I've been a fractional COO, basically going into companies, putting process procedures, right butts, right seats, KPIs, that sort of thing, mostly manufacturing, transportation. About 8 years ago, I started bringing Schooley Mitchell into my clients, kind of made my bill a little bit more palatable if I saved them money on their telecom. My last contract, I was hired by the Navy to run a manufacturing facility to build ventilation carts during the pandemic. And when that was done, I was a little crispy, and Dennis Schooley made me an offer. And that's where I am today, doing cost reduction for companies.
I was just about to ask you, what is the problem that Schooley Mitchell helps with in plain English?
So really, there doesn't have to be a problem. A lot of people sit there and say, what problem should I be looking for? The bottom line is we save companies money on indirect costs. We look at telecom, credit card processing, waste management, UPS, FedEx, but we do have 15 different categories that we look at. And we leverage the fact we have 32,000 clients and average a 30% savings. So there doesn't really have to be a problem. It's more on the lines of you're saving companies money.
Yeah. What can you share a quick client success story for us? Like how'd one of your interactions go?
So one of my bigger clients is a pneumatics company. They have 20 locations throughout the United States. They spend probably about $400,000 in UPS. We put them into our system, which optimized them and basically put them into a new program or recommended a new program that their UPS rep did not even know about. They were not aware of it. And then we went one step further and negotiated directly with UPS to get rid of their fuel surcharge. So in the end, on that $400,000, we saved them 37%. And
Wow.
then what we continue to do is we do the same audit every 3 months.
Okay.
So we're looking for billing issues, scope creep, anything like that. And we'll take over the vendor relationship as much as the client really wants us to. If there's a billing issue, we can work directly with the vendor to resolve it and just
Okay.
notify the client.
Yeah, so you become that kind of power of attorney, letter of authorization for their account and you manage that.
Exactly. I kind of say we're kind of vendor watchdogs after
Nice.
the initial savings.
Yeah, yeah. What's what's one costly mistake you see companies making repeatedly or often?
Not using us. No, just a lot of times they just take where they are for granted, where in fact we actually have the knowledge to put them into the right programs. The other thing is they think they can do it themselves. They don't have the proprietary software that tells us exactly where they should be based on our success rate with our 32,000 clients.
Sure, I can see with your experience, they may be very good at being the CEO or CFO of the business they're at or the company that they own, but they probably don't even know what they don't know when it comes to asking vendors the right questions to get reductions.
Absolutely. We have a team of 165 analysts. Each team is broken into a group specializing on one of our categories. The one example that I like to use, and be honest with you, Preston, I think I already told you this. We have there's this one woman, Paige. She's 80 pounds wet and she does nothing but waste management. She found out one of my clients was being charged $25 a week for an overfilled dumpster. She goes, "Can I just get them a bigger dumpster? We'll get it delivered. We'll get the other one taken away." And I'm like, "I assume so, but let me make the phone call." I call the COO. He's like, "It's not a dumpster issue. It's an employee issue. There's a box sticking up." Long story short, Paige went through the contract, realized the drivers were not taking pictures, and got them 3 years worth of credits.
Wow.
And, it's not a ton of money, but the COO was like, he'd call me back in 3 years. I'd still be paying that. I don't have anybody that is looking at that kind of detail. And if they did, they're probably paying that person too much to be looking at that kind of detail.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. What are there any warning signs that I say this knowing that probably every company could use what you do, but are there two or three like warning signs that you see with a company that really does need your help?
If if they're not not focused, not talking to their vendor, you mean not talking to their rep, that's a huge warning sign. Not knowing what they spend.
Yeah.
I had one company that basically I was like, "How much do you spend on UPS?" And they're like, "We don't know." And I was like, "How many packages do you send a day?" And they're like, "Between 75 and 100." So I'm like, "Okay, 75 packages, $25 a package, 250 days." I'm like, "That's half a million, close to $500,000." And that's a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah, $500,000. That definitely is.
Yeah, I
Um,
wouldn't want to be the shipping manager answering the question that I don't know what the spend is.
yeah. Now, we all talk to our customers, we're building the relationship with our customers for that longevity. And we can, that's a great opportunity to uncover um, problems that the partner community could help solve. And this is definitely one of them. But for those partners that are listening, what's some phrases or maybe pain points, things that they should listen for or ask about in their client base to try to uncover an opportunity?
Well, there's a couple things. Obviously, if they're going through any financial issues, uh, an introduction is great from that standpoint. Um, I had one company that held off on some of their layoffs because of the money that we were able to save them. For my referral partners, I literally tell them, and it's a little selfish of me, but I tell them if somebody goes dark, be like, "Hey, I talked to a cost reduction company and thought of you guys, and I can actually free up the money to pay for my referral partners." And then the one thing that I try to do is when I do talk to a CFO, I kind of throw them a little bit back on their heels and say, "What are you going to do with the money I save you?" And, it gets them to start thinking, and it gets the ability for me to bring my referral partners into the client.
Sure, sure. We did have a question pop up from Jurgen. How does Schooley Mitchell leverage AI, either generative or not, as you provide your service? Are you utilizing AI in any way?
We are utilizing it and we're just in the infancy stages of trying to get leads and also more brand recognition because there's a lot of people that don't know who we are. So great if we get leads out of it, but it's really brand recognition.
Right, right. Makes perfect sense. That makes sense. Um, I was going to ask, like, what makes an ideal referral for you, but that's really, really open-ended. Is there a revenue size? Is it a personnel size? What's that
I
kind of sweet spot for you?
So I usually try to stay away from revenue. Well, I mean, obviously a $10 million company, yeah, all day. But revenue and employees, I focus more on costs. So if they're spending $2,000 a month in one of our categories, it's worth a conversation.
That makes sense. That makes perfect
I
sense.
mean, my first client, and this was back when you're trying to get anything and everything. My first client is a three-person law firm. And I ended up saving them $10,000 on their FedEx and $10,000 on their telecom. So it was
Wow.
worthwhile for both of us.
Wow. Wow. That's real money. That's great.
Yeah,
Even like you said, the shipping cost, $25 a package over the year, that's a lot of money.
absolutely. Absolutely. And UPS and FedEx, whereas the company averages across all the categories at 29%, I'm in the 40% when I look at UPS and FedEx. And obviously, some of them, the percentage is lower.
And how does Schooley Mitchell get paid? Is it a monthly management fee? Is it based on the amount that you save them? How's that work?
Yeah, so we share in the savings. So, whereas we do the initial invoice upon acceptance of our value analysis, and everything we do upfront is completely free. And even when we present the value analysis with our recommendations, there's no obligation for the client to move forward. If they do move forward, we do all the implementation. I kind of say we do everything but put the SIM cards in the cell phones. We do everything we can do virtually. But at acceptance, we do one bill, and that's literally to get my team paid for what they did.
Yep.
And that bill is credited in the end of the relationship. But after that, every bill is based off of actuals, and they've already realized double what we're billing.
That's great. I mean, they get to go in it at no risk to them.
Correct. Correct. There
Uh,
is no risk. We literally just ask. We have an agreement, and that's literally let us finish. If the vendors call you, point them our direction, but let us finish. And then when we present it to you, we just kind of hope that you don't try to go to the vendor yourself. A lot of the vendors will not work around us.
oh,
You
really?
well, UPS and FedEx will, but some of the telecom wireline vendors, they value the relationship because after they do really well with one client, we're getting them more.
Yeah.
You know what I
That
mean?
makes
So why jeopardize that relationship with one client?
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Um, if you had 30 if you had 30 seconds, you're in and out, we're old school. Let's do that elevator pitch, right? If you had 30 seconds with the CEO of a company, what would you say?
Basically, what would you? I always say, what would you do with the money I save you? But
Oh, I like
I
that.
would be like, everything that we do upfront is completely free. There's a very rare time that we have a no savings report, but a no savings report is great. It's a 25-page report that tells you this is one less problem. This is one thing you don't have to deal with. It's completely optimized. But if I can drop money to your bottom line, you can invest it in your employees, or you just leave it at your bottom line and make your company more valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Um, Obviously, I want somebody to reach out and make introductions to you for a potential opportunity for you to help somebody. But for those people that, maybe they want to try it, is there something that executives should be asking their current provider? Is it really a question of, like I said earlier, they don't know even what to ask? And I guess I'm kind of talking myself into a circle a bit, saying that's why we need to bring in experts like you for them to do that.
I would say, have you had somebody look at your indirect vendors to make sure that they're optimized?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You mean
Yeah.
if we look at a telecom standpoint, we're not messing with anything from an IT standpoint, we're lowering the costs. We might be able to get them faster speeds from an internet standpoint, but we're using what they have now as a baseline, and we're just lowering that baseline cost wise.
From your experience, 1 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Out of 10 clients, 10 businesses, not clients, 10 businesses, how many of them do you think percentage wise, this is something they're actively thinking about that's popped in their head saying, vendor cost optimization? How many of them do you think it's even on their radar?
Uh, I would say less than half. And the ones that do think that it's going to take a lot of their time, where in fact we do 98% of the work. What we do is we'll have a fact-finding call with the client, we'll have an agreement, we have letters of authorization, and then we literally work off of online access. Once we have those, so that's 20, 30-minute, the client's completely done. There might be an email question or something like that, but my team does all the work. They've also done 30,000 clients, so they're answering their own questions already. You know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a manufacturing company. They do this. Okay, I'm going to go this avenue and compare them to other manufacturing companies that we've already helped."
So even from a time management point of view for them, there's almost no time investment. Like you said, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, answer a couple questions, then they sit back and let your team uncover the savings.
Absolutely. And if it is a CFO or CEO, 90% of the time, the 30 minutes is somebody else.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Has there is there and maybe you can not tell us the name, but has there any been maybe just the industry? Is there any particular industry that you find it's difficult to work with the vendors to find cost savings?
That's interesting. No, I
Okay.
really haven't, because it is indirect costs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the generic vendors in on your P&L. So I haven't had an industry that's difficult. I do a lot of law firms, so that's not an issue. Manufacturing, transportation, distribution, they're all kind of no-brainers, because we can help them with 10 plus different categories. But no, I some it's literally the industry that doesn't think it's a priority. So if it's not a C-suite individual, and say it's a controller, they're not seeing the money. They might not be as invested, they might not be as responsive,
Yeah.
but the higher up you go, the more they see the value in what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I'm inquisitive by nature, so I'm sitting here going, okay, manufacturing, distribution. I can definitely see all the costs involved with running an operation like that. But then you mentioned like the legal world, law firms.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you save just simple like a law firm or, another white collar type of office?
Well, for law firms, we do very well with law pay, which is a lot of law firms' credit card processing. Just
Gotcha.
because
Okay.
they have the best name for law firms. People are like, "Oh, we're going to take credit cards. We got to use law pay." A lot of law firms still require wet signatures, so they're using UPS and FedEx.
Yep.
If they don't use wet signatures, we actually do electronic signing as well. They all have telecom, internet, wireline, wireless, everything from that standpoint. If it's a bigger office, we do facility supplies, so anything from that standpoint. Uh, but yeah, there's at least five categories we can help with law firms. But to take it one step further, you said professional services. We do everything waste management. So if it is a doctor's office, we do medical waste. If it's an auto body place, we do oil waste. If it's a
Yep.
chain of restaurants, we do the cooking oil waste. So anything that really leaves a building, we can help with.
Okay. Okay. We have two questions. Noah asked, why wouldn't every company allow you to review their costs and expenses? There's no downside, right?
That's correct. And Noah and I had this conversation quite a bit.
Hi, Noah. Thanks for joining us. And Ed Lynch asked, what industries are a great referral and which ones would you walk away from?
Walk away from. That's interesting. So almost everybody's a great referral. Single restaurants and small retail, you're fighting over pennies, and sometimes I mean, more than happy to help uh, from that standpoint, but I don't actively go after those.
Yep, makes sense. Is there an industry that is one that you're always kind of in the back of your mind or in front of mind, thinking that that's where I like? Like maybe it's an
Yeah,
industry with the most savings that you can find, or
well, yes and yes. So manufacturing and transportation distribution, it's the world I come from. So way back when I was actually the fleet manager for GE. So I ran, it was all on paper, but I ran 150,000 GE assets.
wow.
So if I talk to a transportation company and we get to the point where we discuss that, they feel much more comfortable. Manufacturing, they know I've been on the manufacturing floor. I'm familiar with their processes, everything from that standpoint. With an undergrad in engineering, you mean there's a comfort level. I don't have the sales gene to call somebody on Monday, email them on Wednesday, and LinkedIn with them on Friday. I just can't do it. And
Yeah.
then there's a few times where I've told companies not to take the recommendations because they didn't make sense to me from an operations standpoint. So I kind of bring that to the table, which I think is definitely valuable.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're rounding it out about here at the half hour mark. I'd like to keep these around 20 to 30 minutes, no more than 30. We're all super busy. Um, so if anybody's interested in getting a hold of Rob, feel free to reach out to me. Rob will also be getting your contact information from here as well. Are there any last minute questions or any last minute thoughts that you'd like to provide, Rob?
Not really. I think we covered it. I mean, Preston and I, we have a good rapport. So we've had this conversation on what my company does. So I think we covered everything. It's
Beautiful.
literally for free. We help companies save money.
That's the bottom line. You help companies save money, and it's not an operational expense on their end. It's pure savings with
Yep.
little time investment on their end. It really is that proverbial win-win for them. You come in, you can find them savings, or you come in and they're almost as good as they can be, and you don't really have any recommendations, but at least they then have that peace of mind that that's been looked at, you
Right.
know. Um, and that's when you come back every 3 years, every 2 years, and do it again. So that's all wonderful stuff. Thank you so much, Rob, for joining us today. Let me
Thanks for having me.
and thanks to everybody that joined us today. Be on the lookout for the information on next month's webinar. We're going to be featuring